I know we can do this together because I know this. There's nothing beyond our capacity.
Capacity. Okay, let's talk about Biden's capacity, not just to make fun of him, which I enjoy, not just to laugh at him, which I really enjoy, not just to laugh at Democrats and communists and socialists and fascists and worthless corporatists and banksters because it's funny, but because there's an SHTF component to all of this. A very more like it than they know. It's that SHTF ability, right? That's the component to this entire equation that puts me in
In case you can see me, John, your video is frozen up. I don't know what's going on here, but we seem to have encountered a SHTF technical problem. So I'm going to click myself off here and see if John can reset his camera or his computer. We'll be back in a moment. Hang in there, folks.
talk about capacity. Apparently the internet was full and kicked me off. Whew, for a second there, I thought maybe I said something that hurt someone's feelings before I even had a chance to hurt someone's feelings. Good golly, these people suck. All right. Anyways, the point is SHTF, violence. That's why we're here. That's why I'm talking to you. We need to be prepared for what these people are capable of. And one of the few things they're competent to do, and they are dedicated to it. The trifecta of stupid is upon us. The Democrats have power and they're afraid to lose it. And now that Biden has been bitch slapped down in a debate and the Supreme Court has said, hey, presidents have qualified immunity. Qualified meaning as long as they're acting in their, well, shall we say, presidential lawful capacity, they're fine. And so the Democrats have continued to say, well, then Trump can assassinate his political opponents and get away with it. And all the stupid is crazy, folks. I want to, before I get to Supreme Court of the United States Justice Idiot Sotomayor, I'm going to tell you what Democrat House of Representatives member Zoe Lofgren has to say about the Trump immunity decision. She says that means Biden can assassinate conservative justices. Literally, folks. Understand this. This dumb bitch, Zoe Lofgren, didn't just say that to be provocative. She didn't just say that as a joke. It's not satire. It's not fear porn for socialist dunderheads out there. This is the perspective lens through which powerful Democrats look. So I say to you, beware, folks. The time will come when this perspective is acted upon. Again, the time is going to come When this perspective is acted upon, Biden can assassinate conservative justices. Biden can assassinate his political opponents. Biden can have his Justice Department, his FBI, his Department of Homeland Security, his secret police force, his illegal immigrants that he could offer a public position to in, say, his Department of Homeland Security Defense Forces. How's that for a little fear for you? If you want to be a citizen in America, you work for the Department of Homeland Security as a security force operative, and we will make you part of the national police force in America. There's some fear for you. This is what they're up to, folks. Literally. Now, around the world, it's not just an American problem. So our friends up north, you Canucks, I love you guys, but you're in trouble as well. Same with Australia. Same with England. In fact, let me share this with you. And again, check my sources. The BBC has a presenter. We call them something else over here in the mainstream media. But over there, they give them the name presenter. This presenter has, well, sparked outrage, folks, because he has announced, called for, made it publicly known that he wants President Trump murdered. And this is what he said. Here is the quote on the perspective lens through which the left looks and eventually acts. Right? Let me read what he said. If I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered. If I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered. Again, folks, the Democrat socialist perspective, the perspective lens through which they look, is to see this decision as an opportunity to assassinate their opponents. An American representative in Congress says, well, let's just start killing justices again. Over in England, they're like, hey, let's just murder Trump then. Right? Their perspective is to kill their political opponents, and then 100% power is achieved. No enemy is left. Dictatorship is created. And leftists will rule us, me and you, as peasants and as their property. That, like Klaus Schwab and members of the powerful Democrat Party, they want to sexually abuse everybody. Right? After years and years saying, you cannot sexually harass your coworkers, people beneath you, people that are subject to your power and authority. Yet that's exactly what these fucking freaks do. And pardon my outrage. Now, let me again explain, and I think I can do an adequate job with this. You tell me if I'm doing an adequate job, pretty please, in the comments below. Let me explain the perspective lens through which the Democrats view their opponents and their opponents' supporters, which is you and me, and the perspective lens through which they observe their power and attaining more or losing more. It's the same perspective lens that a jewelry store robber or a bank robber or a shall we say, home thief, someone who wants to burglarize homes, they covet it, they desire it, they dream of it. Take the burglar, the thief who stands outside the jewelry store. He looks through the glass. He or she looks through the glass and sees all of the pretty gems, all of the shiny silver, gold, and he covets it. He wants it. He's willing to steal it. He wants to steal it. But if he breaks the glass, he knows he'll be caught. If he goes through the door and tries stealing it, he knows he'll be shot. So what do? Well, the standard run-of-the-mill thief just breaks the glass, grabs what they can, and runs. But the police will catch him, and he'll go to jail. Those are the people we see going to jail. Now, Democrat socialists, folks, they see the gems. They see through the glass, and they realize there's a consequence if they openly do it. So instead of stealing the gems, they turn around and they go and they defund the police. And then they come back knowing they can smash the glass, shoot the store owner, take all their gems, and there's no consequences. That is this lens. How the BBC presenter says, if I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered. Or if you're Zoe Lofgren, says, well, Biden can assassinate conservative judges. That's what the court just said. The Supreme Court of the United States just told the president that they want to be murdered. Isn't that just fucking asinine? Oh, it gets better, right? So we have Sonia Sotomayor. Just let the world know exactly the level of ignorance, stupidity, idiocy she has. So there was some information written down to zing her with, is a term used by the Gateway Pundit. She was zinged. I think she was basically intellectually bitch slapped. And I wish there could be more. Now, this is what the Supreme Court response to her was. They made their decision that the president has qualified immunity, meaning he is immune from all lawful actions taken while as president. You cannot at a later date turn them into a crime, and you certainly can't have a member of the public being enlisted to act as an agent for the government and prosecuting a former president for things he's fully authorized to do as president. So they made that decision, and then they looked at what Sotomayor's dissenting opinion was. And of course, she says, I guess right. The president can do whatever he wants. He can murder people, right? He can murder his opponents. This is the response. This is the political, legal warfare that's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. We're seeing the war out in our streets, in our states, all around the country, all around the planet, but also it is hot and heavy in Washington, D.C. Here we go. This is the quote from the Supreme Court. Coming up short on reasoning, essentially saying they're fucking idiots. Coming up short on reasoning, the dissents. The dissent are the leftist judges. They're the dissents. Right? They're the dissenters. The dissents repeatedly level variations of the accusation that the Supreme Court, has rendered the president above the law. The dissent's position is the end boiled down to ignoring the Constitution's separation of powers and the court's precedent, and instead fear-mongering on the basis of extreme hypotheticals about a future where a president, quote, feels empowered to violate federal criminal law. Once again, the court, the majority of the Supreme Court, that of course the leftists want to kill. Period. And they're also now talking about appointing more justices to the court while they can. While they can. They're going to try ramming it through. The dissent's position is in the end boils down to ignoring the Constitution's separation of powers. That is to say, Congress can't touch the court. The court can't touch this, right? No, everyone's separated, right? And the court's precedent instead fear-mongering. That's exactly what Democrats do. Fear-mongering. Fear-mongering. To continue, the dissents overlook the more likely prospect of an executive branch that cannibalizes itself, with each successive president free to prosecute his predecessors, yet unable to boldly and fearlessly carry out his duties for fear that he may be next. In other words, a president, out of political fear that he can be prosecuted after he's out of office for doing his duty, his constitutional duty, if he's fearful the next president can go after him, he won't do a damn fucking thing. That's what they're saying here. Cannibalize itself. The executive branch, I don't think the word cannibalize is good, but that's what the Supreme Court said. These are very hyperbolic, exceedingly loud phrases used to bitch slap Sotomayor, Kagan, and the other idiot. Now, cannibalize, or rather starve itself into insignificance. Anyways, Chief Justice Roberts said that the framers did not intend to leave the preservation of our system of separated powers in the hands of prosecutors. Succinct, to the point. Thank you, Justice Roberts, for finally saying something intelligent. The framers didn't say, hey, we got 3 branches of government, but let prosecutors decide who's broken the law, whether or not it's within their official capacity, and throw them in jail for it. So this is how they describe this. The enfeebling of the presidency and our government that would result from such a cycle of factional strife is exactly what the framers intended to avoid. Ignoring those risks, the dissents are instead content to leave the preservation of our system of separated powers up to the good faith of prosecutors. Good faith of prosecutors like Merrick the Buttlick Garland, Jack Hole Smith, Judge Chutkin, Judge fucking Engoron, fat ass Fannie Willis, dumbass Alvin Bragg in New York City, Attorney General Leticia James, right? All of these morons. Oh, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Judge Kagan, and Sotomayor are the 3 stooges of the Supreme Court of the United States. They're fucking morons, folks. Morons. Okay, I've spent the first half of my monologue talking about the Supreme Court decision. Now we're going to get into what the Democrats are doing to themselves. Talk about cannibalizing. They don't know what they do. First, before I get to that, the House Republicans finally have very small testicles they're willing to use. They have the votes to hold Merrick the Buttlick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States of America, hold him in contempt. Now, there was a lot of Republican pushback. There was a lot of it when those rascally Republicans, right? Representative Luna from Florida. It's a lot of pushback. Well, they fought their way through it. And here is what Representative Republican of the great state of Florida, Luna, this is what she said. Under inherent contempt, we're talking about Merrick Garland, the individual is brought before the bar of the House by the sergeant at arms, tried by the body, and can then be detained either in the Capitol or in D.C. This process demonstrates the seriousness with which Congress views non-compliance and the potential consequences for those who refuse to cooperate. That actually sounds like something a statesman would say when dealing with a contemptuous, anti-law, anti-American sack of shit. This is exactly what I want to see. The charge is inherent contempt, not just contempt, inherent contempt. So they can go get that little sack of shit by his ear and drag him into the Capitol, and they can keep him locked up inside the Capitol, or they can take him to the Metropolitan D.C. Police Department gulag, where Americans have been stored while they fuck them over. Oh, nasty folks. Now, to the Democrats, to the idiot Democrats. It is go time, folks. The first sitting congressional Democrat has come forward, according to the Gateway Pundit, to say, Joe Biden, get out of the presidential race, drop out, leave, quit, go away. Isn't that strange, right? They can't decide. They can't figure it out, right? Representative Lloyd Doggett. What a name, huh? Boy, that one rolls off the tongue. Doggett from Texas. He's a Democrat, right? He's a Democrat. And so he's the first one, right? He wants Biden out. He sees the risk and the danger of that. He's the first one. And there's a danger of a landslide. The danger of landslide losses in the Democrat Party in this election and also coming elections. This is 100% real. What that means to you and me is we need to get out and vote. We need to share this internet address and tell people get out and vote. Wake up and go vote. Participate in your local election area. In other words, go to the polling place, find your political party and say, I want to be part of this. I want to help. I want to volunteer. The reason is we need to stop the cheat, stop the steal. We need to make the win so big it can't be rigged. That's what needs to happen here. This landslide needs to happen. I don't want to hear fucking red wave. We all need to do our individual parts. And the red wave will come as a consequence. Not just shouting, red wave, woo, and then go to sleep on the couch with Cheeto dust all over your chin. There'll be time for Cheeto dust later, folks. Now, the danger of landslide losses is 100% real. And D.C., the District of Columbia, Washington, the mainstream media, and Biden, they're completely ignoring it. Right? The D.C. morons, the bureaucracy, they're like, yeah, give Biden another chance. Yeah. The mainstream media, they're lapping that up. Yeah, let's not get rid of Biden. Right? And of course, Biden's like, yeah, man, I'm the power. No, that's it. The rest of the country is waking up, and there are calls from within Congress to get him the hell out. In fact, Democrat governors around the country are now staging what I would call, they're going to have a meeting, a political coup, if you will, to bring gubernatorial pressure against Biden. They're going to have their little special secret telephone call. But guess what? They are not inviting Biden to attend. They're not inviting the White House or White House staffers. They're going to hold this call and decide what they want to do for pressure. In other words, folks, the Democrats have become a herd of idiotic cats running in every direction. And Biden fiddles while Rome is burning. The fucking moron. Keep going. Keep going, dumbasses. This is absolutely, in my opinion, hilarious. In fact, you want some fucking hilarity? You're not going to believe this shit. Hunter Biden, folks, is now attending meetings in the White House with his daddy, the big guy, Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's top political aides, because they need to figure out how to get out of this quagmire of quicksand called the debate loss. They've already smeared orange makeup on him. They've already done that. He's already projected all of his idiocy on Trump, which Trump just said, I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off me, sticks on you, you're stupid, right? The great strategist, Hunter Biden, the mighty brain, Hunter Biden, the intellectual stalwart, Hunter Biden, is now in the White House helping his dad develop a plan to get out of this political quicksand. Folks, the handle's been pulled. The water is swirling and twirling and going down the toilet, and I am enjoying the shit out of this. A lot of people are asking this: what the hell is happening? Keep asking that. What the hell is happening? Right? There are more and more calls for resignation. There are now 4, according to the media that just popped up on my computer, 4 Democrats in D.C., right, who are quietly, privately telling Biden, drop out of the race, you can't win this. Folks, this is political cannibalism. This is political tribalism. And the tribes are Biden leave and Biden stay. Those are the 2 tribes fighting. Right? Democrats have divided themselves now. This is a self-destructive move that I'm going to enjoy, as most of the Democrat Party is going to stick with Joe Biden as long as they can, for fear that if he does stay and he does win, that he will politically punish them. Right? They'll give them the James Trafficant treatment. Right? Political greed and political evil, folks, is what is at play right now as they try and kill each other, kill justices, kill Trump. Welcome to the Democrat Party, folks. Welcome. Welcome indeed. I hope you've got your questions below, because we have a lot to discuss, folks. A lot to discuss. There is a lot more going on. I've got a few minutes left, so I want to just tap on a couple of things here real quick. Rudy Giuliani has now officially been disbarred. He has been disbarred in this partisan war by the State Bar of New York, the New York Bar Association. Isn't that incredible? One of the most corrupt states that has ever existed, the Empire State, is going to disbar Rudy Giuliani, the man who broke up the mafia in New York City. Rudy Giuliani, the man who cleaned up crime in New York City when he was mayor. Rudy Giuliani. I'm not real proud of his 9/11 moments, but he was on the street, at least on the scene, as buildings around him collapsed for no fucking reason. Anyways, folks, the fact that Rudy Giuliani has now been disbarred by a bunch of political socialist legal hacks, aka attorneys, doesn't surprise me, but it does disgust me. I suspected something like this would happen. It's evidence we're in a full partisan war. It is a full lawfare war. I don't think Rudy is going to be practicing law in the state of New York. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if Rudy doesn't go to another state, I don't know, like Texas or Florida, and receive bar membership there. The only problem with that really is most bar associations are leftist, socialist, piece of shit institutions, and they can go fuck themselves. And we'll continue. We'll continue. Very quickly, let's slip over to the war in Ukraine. The baby, infant, or shall we say toddler, World War III continues to inch its way along into full maturity. The Russians right now are completely bombing the shit out of Ukraine with their Iskander missiles. They've gone after the Mirgorod base. They're destroying fighter jets. Let's see, I think 7 total, which is, I think, for one day, the worst daily loss that the Ukrainian Air Force has suffered. For the life of me, I don't understand why Russia doesn't end this a little quicker. It doesn't take nukes. I just don't understand why it's taking so long, literally. But I do know that they patiently fight war, and they intelligently fight war, and they take their time. As much as the other side thinks they're retooling and rebuilding, the Russians think, we're just wearing you down psychologically, we're killing your men, and we're costing you valuable treasure. And that is how Russia has always fought their wars. The Battle of Stalingrad is one of the bloodiest, most costly wars of all time. If I'm naming that war correctly, or that battle against the Nazis. The death toll there was unfathomable. It was awful. But the Russians just kept sending bodies and guns and bullets and wore the Germans down and wore the Germans down. And it took a long time. Very long, bloody battle. It's just, will the West, will Ukraine's puppet masters, NATO, England, and Washington, D.C., will they become, shall we say, aggressive and impatient and attack in such a way that they expose Ukraine to more substantial losses and very little loss to Russia? I would like this war over. Me personally, I would like Ukraine to surrender, to agree to the terms of the surrender, to abandon any claim to the eastern provinces which have voted to join the Russian Federation, and to be done with all the murder and losses. And that, what would happen as a consequence of that? The United States of America would continue to use Ukraine to launder money, but just not as much. And see, that's why war is good for Washington, D.C. That's why war is good for the bankers. That's why war is good for the politicians, because they can send more money to Ukraine in a war than they can otherwise. This shakedown is not enriching politicians at the expense of the Ukrainians by stealing their resources and their assets. Instead, they're enriching themselves at the taxpayer expense, my expense, your expense, our expense, by sending money over there, and they're taking their kickbacks. All right, folks, it's a crazy, terrible Tuesday. And yeah, Supreme Court justices can be murdered. Yeah. Biden should kill the president. Trump, that guy, right away. Sooner the better. That's what they're thinking. That's what they're saying, because that's what they believe. Here we go. It is time for your thoughts. It's hard for me to fathom how anybody, speaking of fathoming, cannot see the danger, the signs, the evidence, the hard times that are here and the harder times that are coming. The violence that is going to be coming is Jolene would say, the violence that's inherent in the system. And it is inherent in the system, and we just covered it. The system is waiting for permission to start murdering Supreme Court justices, right? The system is waiting with bated breath for an opportunity to assassinate their political foes. The system and its inherent violence is waiting to attack us, the people, by turning other, shall we say, lawless groups against us and to become vicious. Problem is, this is America. And we have guns and a lot of ammo. And we, the American people who are patriotic America lovers, I think we would be more than willing to dispatch into a condition of ruination enemies of the Republic by exercising our constitutional rights and duties and eliminating domestic enemies. I think I said that in a fair way without sounding too excited about the prospect. Now, not to glamorize or glorify dispatching with great haste and extreme prejudice the enemies of our republic, the domestic enemies here that hate America. But once again, folks, if that happens, it's not going to be the fun party that a lot of us imagine it would be. It's going to be a hellish situation if that starts happening, because the bodies will pile up. And it will go off the hook, and there will be a lot of revenge killings, a lot of unnecessary killings, a lot of necessary killings. It'll just be a shit show. Absolute. And that's why I say, have your food tucked away in a corner of your bunker, your pantry, your stash. Because when things get really nasty, you're not going to want to go out in public if you happen to be in one of these SHTF hotspots or geographic areas where you can get popped in the head just for walking down the street because someone decided you look like a Trump supporter. Or someone may decide you look like a Biden supporter. So that just brings up a question. It just brings up a question. If things go bad, will you wear a red armband saying you're a Trumper, or an orange band saying you're an orange man supporter? You wear that so you don't get shot by your own people, but then you make yourself a target of our opponents, our enemies. Now, the Democrats won't wear anything, and I'll tell you why. The same reason they wear masks when they peacefully protest, because they don't want to be known and remembered for who they are. They will only come out, commit vicious, heinous, nasty crimes, and hide their identities. The most violent amongst them hide their identities. That's why I'm going to say that in the future, anyone who is wearing a mask needs to have it torn from their face. And they need to be put on trial immediately because they are un-American. Un-American. Anyone who's wearing a mask, right? Like Patriot Front, the FBI. Yeah, they may be skinheads, but they're FBI skinheads. I don't have any respect for these people wearing masks. Antifa, BLM wearing masks. The ham-ass dickheads wearing masks. All right, Mr. Uman, let's get into it. Let's keep going. Let's have some fun. Who's up? Up and up and up, and it's Village Idiot. And he says, I got a proposition. Quote, we the people don't have an issue with Putin or the Russian people. Quote, we the people would just as soon be left alone. The demon rats, a.k.a. Democrats, and that crankshaft puppet show in D.C. have an issue with Putin. What does Putin know? Oh, Putin knows that and has been proclaiming in Russian media that Hunter Biden is a pedophile and that the video footage from Hunter Biden's computer clearly demonstrates that with video footage of him porking minors. But what is it that Putin has? See, Putin has wealth. Putin has vast resources. That's Russia, folks. The West, meaning the banking cartels and aristocrats of Western Europe, have always wanted to get their hands on Russian resources and to control Russia and its population by issuing Russia the money they spend and charging Russia interest to do so. That's what they want. Yes, Putin does know quite a bit, but also Putin has an awful lot. And he represents, as a nuclear weapon superpower, he represents an enemy to them that they cannot conquer easily. Let us continue. I wonder who's going to replace Putin. He can't live forever. He can't live forever. Thank you, Village Idiot, very much. And Chin Music has now stepped into the house. And he wants to bring up Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner, Meathead from Archie Bunker. All in the Family is the name of the show. Archie Bunker was the main character. And Rob Reiner was known as Meathead because he was an idiot. And folks, he still is an idiot. And he has said Trump could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue on his Twitter X account. I offered him a ride to Fifth Avenue. Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny, actually. This is what Rob Reiner really believes, that Trump can now murder somebody. No. It was as a president. What he did as a president, he has qualified immunity from. As a non-president, as a private citizen, he can't do anything. He is just as powerless as you and me. That's it. But Rob Reiner thinks he can still murder people. That's how stupid these people are, folks. And certainly if he becomes president again, he can just have all of his political opponents destroyed, murdered. So we cannot have Trump back in the White House because he's going to go around and kill everybody. He's going to kill Sotomayor. Trump is going to kill Kagan. Trump is going to kill Ketanji Brown Jackson Brown Ketanji, whatever her name is. And then he's going to go to the Senate. He's going to kill Chuck Schumer. And he's going to kill all the Democrats. And then he's going to kill all the rhinos. And then he's going to go to the House of Representatives. He's going to kill Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries. And he's going to kill all the Democrats and all the rhinos in the House. And then he's going to send out apparently the Gestapo, right? And he's going to kill all of the FBI and kill really, that's what they think. Isn't that it's absurd. The last time anybody did this kind of killing and it has happened. It would be the communist dictator of China, the communist dictator of the Soviet Union, and the socialist fascist dictator of Germany. Two of those were World War II, and one of them came shortly thereafter. Chairman Mao in China killed his people after World War II. But they went to all of their political opponents, everyone they were afraid of, and they murdered them. Now, the perspective lens through which Democrats look is the one through which they see and hope that they can act. Like I said, they're the bank robber standing outside looking at the jewels. I'm sorry, they're the jewel thief that looks in through the jewelry store window and goes, I'm going to steal all that shit, and I'm going to find a way. They get rid of the cops, and then they come back and steal everything, right? Communist socialists, communist fascists, Democrat socialist fascists look at this country and hope and wish they can murder everybody. And because of their psychological makeup, they actually say and accuse their political opponents of that which they hope to do. It's called projection. Look up psychological projection, and this is what they're doing. All these Democrats, civilians like Rob Reiner, presenters and media people who, right, say, well, we need to kill Trump before we run out of time, right? And congressional representatives, right? Congressional, meaning senators and House of Representatives members, they're thinking in their head, we can go kill the Supreme Court justices then once we have our guy in power. That's what they want. So that's why they say it. That's what they see, and that's what they project on their opponents. And none of this bodes well for me and you, because we have power-mad, lunatic, asshole Democrats who would love to make history repeat the way they did in China, the Soviet Union, and Nazi Germany. Woo! Thank you, Chin Music. And I'm on a roll with this. Let's continue, Mr. Uman. Who's got something to say? What are we going to talk about? Newman says, not hard to scare a nation full of cowards. Last time I checked, murder of fellow citizens and fellow politicians wasn't a duty of nor an authorized act as President of the United States. I think he may have a point there. That's not a legitimate presidential function. Killing political enemies. It's neither authorized nor a sworn duty. Nice work, Mr. Uman, on that research. I looked hard, right? I spent 20 hours looking for that in my Constitution. It's not there. Yet the Democrats have found it. Where have they found it, Mr. Uman? In a Supreme Court decision. It's funny how they hate the Supreme Court. At the same time, they look to a decision, see in it what they want, and then plan for the future use of that out of their fear that it could be done to them. Because that's how they see, that's what they want to do. And so they suspect their enemies want to do it, and so they lash out at them. These people are psychological troglodytes. They are so easy to diagnose from a distance, but also, folks, very scary. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Woo! We got some stuff, and it's coming. I hope you're prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, that stuff. Your freedom seeds. Your, I call them a cordless hole puncher. Right? I call it an anguish reliever. Because once someone gets that, they don't have much to worry about anymore. Now, folks, again, I want to thank everybody for the great support we get at the Prepared Mind channel. And I want to encourage everyone to sign on as premium members at the preparedmind.club or as premium members at subscribestar.com. And you'll be able to join us live Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday. And we'll have a little fun. Yes, we will. And we'll continue to do this until YouTube, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, or the president decides he's going to say, you can't talk anymore, John. All right, man, where are we going? Who's up next? And it's Heidi, age 12. She says, since they do what they accuse everyone else of, it sounds like Joe Biden. Part 2 would be horrific. That is correct. You see, they now see this Supreme Court decision as permission to attack one's opponents. Hence, the call for Joe Biden to shoot Trump right now by the mainstream media in England. Hence, the call by Democrat Zoe Idiot in Congress to start killing the conservative justices. Now, I need everyone to understand that the Democrats, and I believe being led by Nancy Pelosi, and boy, is she a leader. I mean, literally, is she a leader or is she an absolutely awful human being? I think she's the latter, the awful human being. The Democrats, folks, they want to stack the Supreme Court. So my, I should say, predictive comments during 0 Dark 30 this morning are true. They're now looking at the Supreme Court going, holy shit, we better start stacking it while we can. You see, one of the keys you need to appointing Supreme Court justices is to have, 1, your president in office, and 2, to own the Senate. Now, currently Joe Biden is the president, and the Senate is controlled by the Democrats. But this precedent, should they risk it, would cause an outrage amongst the voters. And I'm talking about voters who do not like Joe Biden and do not like socialism and do not like our country being destroyed. Can you imagine Joe Biden appointing a bunch of Ketanji Braxton Jackson Browns and a bunch of Sotomayor's? Can you imagine Judge Chutkan and Judge Engoron and Judge whatever the fuck his name was, all these judges being stuffed into the Supreme Court? America would reject that so harshly. And then Trump would be elected president. And they're afraid, folks. What would Trump do? Well, if they can put, another 5 Supreme Court justices in there that are Democrats, well, then Trump can put 10. Right? And then the next president can put 20. And the next president can put another 50. You see, there is no constitutional limit. Instead, they chose to go with tradition. Right? Judicial tradition. Anyways, yeah, part 2, Heidi, with Joe Biden believing he can do whatever he wants, kill whoever he wants, because, well, Congress agrees. The media agrees. Hell, even the liberal judges out there agree, including the liberal justices. He can just kill whoever he wants as part of his official duties. Because it's right there, they read it in the Constitution, right next to the part where it says abortions on demand, and right next to where it says you can kill Americans abroad like Obama did. That's right, Obama killed Americans abroad. No due process with a drone strike. Oh, yeah, and that's also right next to the part where it says that we have a democracy and not a republic. It actually says that. We have a democracy, not a republic. Anyways, thank you, Heidi, very much for your continuing support. And now, Mr. Uman, we're running out of time, and we never run out of questions, but here we have name redacted. And he says of the Democrats, the other side screams what they do because they know that is the only way to stop them. Them meaning Trump. The Democrat side screams what they scream because they know that is the only way to stop Trump and us. That's it. They're screaming their beliefs of what Trump is capable of doing because that is the only way they know that they can stop Trump. Trump is going to murder his people. They know that they have to murder Trump. They're not beating him in the polls. Oh shit! By the way, more states are falling. Biden, the numbers for an incumbent president, the belief that they're competent to hold office and care for the country, lead the country, etc., have never been lower. For Biden, in fact, haven't been lower for an incumbent president since Jimmy Carter. That's my understanding. They know they can't stop the Trump train, and I love saying shit like that because it even annoys mild Trump supporters. But really, Trump is the political leader that America gets to have. I would rather have George Washington, folks. I would rather have Andrew Jackson. I would even rather have Teddy Roosevelt, Ronald Reagan, or President Eisenhower. I'd rather have any of those people. But I can't have them, sorry. But we do have Trump, and he is a fighter, if he's nothing else. And hopefully, folks, he can continue to be persuaded to support and defend our country and the Constitution and us, the people. Woo! All righty. Thank you, name redacted, by the way. Mr. Uman. Name redacted says, you named one of them the other day, John. Anita Dunn. She's done. She's cooked. She is, I believe, one of Biden's senior or the senior campaign manager. And she was a key player on Team Obama, who is an admitted Maoist. Obama is a Maoist. A Maoist is a communist. And Chairman Mao murdered tens of millions, not of Europeans or Africans. He didn't murder tens of millions of penguins. He murdered his own people. Stalin murdered tens of millions of his own people. The two most murderous sons of bitches have more in common with the Democrats today than anyone else. Period. The Democrats are evil. They are murderous. They are liars. They are thieves. They are scum. And they are anti-American. And this is where we're at, America. This is why I say be prepared. Because there is no telling what is going to happen. What could be done next to us? These evil people have their key players in position. They're in charge at the Department of State, at the Attorney General's office in the Department of Justice, at the CIA, at the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security. The Pentagon is stuffed full of their anti-American allies. And this has been going on since Clinton, by the way. Clinton, who took office and sneered at a military flyby until he was reminded, I believe, by Hillary that those are our jets now. So it is their Pentagon now. It is their FBI now. It is their CIA now. It is their IRS now. And they will use them as political tools to stare at us through their lens of perception and seeing us as the enemy. And they'll want to kill us, no doubt. I mean, they talk nice by saying re-education camps, work camps, concentration camps, as we cling to our Bibles and pray that we keep our guns. Sorry, I'm not giving the gun up. And I have several Bibles, and I really much enjoy them. But hey, it's that kind of world, folks. We are now living in some of the most dangerous times ever. And in the future, America can look back at you and I and say, we did our part. Or people could look back and say, holy cow, they didn't do jack shit. I guess we're going to find out, right? But of course, it is always the victor who writes the stories. It is always the victor who writes the stories. So, what story are we going to write, folks? Are we going to let the Democrats write it for us? Or shall we write it ourselves? Uman, where are we going to roll next, man? And he says, hey, the judge just postponed Trump's sentencing hearing until September 18th. This is Judge Merchan. Yeah, he is a piece of crap, in my opinion. They want to push this off, in my opinion, so that they can get closer to the election, September 18th, and try and sentence Trump, put him in jail during what, folks? Yeah, the last days of the campaign season as they head up into election. These cases need to be dismissed under this recent Supreme Court decision. They need to be appealed immediately to the appellate system and higher. And Trump, folks, he can win this thing from jail. But I see this as election interference, and I see it as a bit of treason against us, the people, and against the Constitution. It's not treason against Trump. It's treasonous to our nation. See, the treason is never treason against a commanding officer or against the president. The treason is against the sovereign. That is us, the people. And the people of the United States of America, by far, especially now as Biden is failing, the people of America are looking to Trump as a leader. Now, in my lifetime, no Republican presidential candidate has ever had Democrat financial political donors switch sides because the Democrat Party and the Democrat candidate are so awful, so failure riddled, so destructive that they're like, you know what? I'm going to support a Republican. Remember, there are Republicans in this country, folks, who are never Trumpers, and they will never, ever, ever support anything that Trump wants or needs as president. Yet now we have campaign contributors, billionaires, millionaires who are looking at Trump saying, dude, right? Billionaire Democrat investors saying, you know what? Not going to do it. Not going to donate to Democrat institutions like colleges or Democrat leaders if they're going to destroy this country. In other words, they see that the cash cow, the golden goose, is being killed by Democrats intentionally. And while the rich and the super rich can weather a storm of political destruction, it is my opinion that those rich people are very happy and satisfied with their riches, and they don't want to give up the system they have and exchange it for one where there is a political elite that dominates the entire landscape while accepting bribes and payouts from corporations that benefit from supreme government authority and dictatorial practices. All right, Mr. Uman, thank you, sir. Nice. I'm glad we got that little bit of news. U.S. Marshals have now found 200 missing children during the We Will Find You 2 child missing children operations. Right? 200 missing children. How fascinating is that? Jeffrey Epstein, anyone? Now, Joe Biden, folks, he is saying everything he can to try and convince everyone he's competent. He's cognizant, right? He wants everyone to think he can think. So he comes out and here's his quote, right? He came out and claimed that he, Joe Biden, is investing billions of dollars to, quote, expand energy shortages. That's right. He is expanding energy shortages. He should have said expand energy supplies, but he said the quiet part out loud, as the media has been apt to say part. Yeah. In other words, he made a huge faux pas. He opened his soup cooler. He opened his noodle sucker. And he said that he wants, why doesn't he say, and the United States government or Washington, D.C., or your federal government is going to invest billions of dollars to expand energy supplies. Instead, he says, I'm investing billions. He's not investing shit. The same way Michelle Obama says, well, we're all going to have to give up a slice of our pie to help everyone else in America do better. While that bitch, and I don't care whether it has balls or not, it's still a bitch, has 4 mega mansions. 4 mega mansions. And they're not going to give up any of their pie. I really do think, though, that the Obamas need to have an, shall we say, military tribunal inquiry into their belief systems and their past. Hopefully that becomes reality someday. Folks, it has been one heck of a show. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys return to your lives. And I want to thank you all for being here, for sharing that internet address, for hitting thumbs up on the video, and also, folks, being subscribers and your premium subscribers who are here live. Thank you again, everyone, from the sincere part of my heart. Thank you for supporting freedom, free speech, freedom of self-defense, the freedom to be secure in our homes, our papers, and our property, right? This part about pursuing happiness. And no part of government has ever helped me find happiness. Woo! All right, everyone. Semper Fi. God bless America.